Welcome to the Movie to Watch Before You Die podcast. I'm your host, Dylan, along with my cousin and co-host.
Gab.
And by the time this episode drops, it's going to be like a week into the MLB season. It has returned, so I thought that I would bring a baseball movie, a fun movie with some very authentic baseball. I'm going with the 1994 movie Little Big League. And Gab, you had never seen this before, correct?
I had never seen this before, and frankly, I don't think I had ever heard of this before.
It came out right after a few very big baseball movies had, which I think made it disappear, basically. But we'll get into that more.
Yeah.
Gab, what's Little Big League about?
What's this all been about? What am I working toward?
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
Oh boy. All right, Dylan. Well, Little Big League is about a sixth grader, give or take.
Yeah, I think they say he's 12.
Yeah, 12 years old, sixth grader, whose grandfather owns the Minnesota Twins, who is a diehard baseball fan. He knows every fact about every game from the 20s and beyond. He is just a baseball connoisseur. And he comes to inherit the team when his grandfather dies. The steps of owning the baseball team take him to fire the head coach and hire himself to get his ragtag group of players to make it deep into September baseball.
Definitely a bit wordier than the IMDb version.
Yeah, but does the IMDb version say ragtag? I doubt it.
No, but the IMDb version says the word bequeathed. A young boy is bequeathed the ownership of a professional baseball team. It doesn't even say the Twins. It's like a team.
That's kind of how I feel about the Minnesota Twins.
It's fair. A lot of people, like if I just said name all the baseball teams, like you're probably forgetting about the Twins. Gab, you want to hear some taglines?
You know that I do.
Two of these are almost exactly the same. The Minnesota Twins have a new owner. The Minnesota Twins baseball team just got a new owner.
Get the fuck out of here. Like, they pay people to do that. Dylan, do you know how aggravated I get when I think about how many hours I work and how much I do, and somebody is out there going, hey, I just made $250,000 because I said the Minnesota Twins just got a new owner, and the Minnesota Twins just got themselves a new owner. $300,000, please. I'm so good at my job. Get the fuck out of here.
I feel like that can't be how it works. I don't think we need to investigate further how the world of taglines works. I don't think there's a guy who's just like Hollywood comes to him and they're like, what do you got? And he's like, this summer. And they're like, $1 million.
He's in his pajamas. He's in his bathrobe, balls out. Dylan, I have a question.
Yes,
Are you ready?
I am ready and willing.
So we are not talking about The Lion King right now, but it is important to note that in the film, The Lion King, Zazu sings to Scar, I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts, diddly-dee. Yes, correct? Do you understand?
I have no idea where you're going with this, but keep going.
But you know what I'm talking about.
I am aware of it, yes.
Okay, so the other night, Corey started singing it. Not unusual, right? He'll just burst out with something.
Intriguing that it's not unusual, but go on.
Very much not unusual. So he starts singing it. So I start singing it, at which time I come to find I know every word to this song. Let me demonstrate.
If you must.
I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts, diddly-dee. There they are, standing in a row. 2, 3, 4. Big ones, small ones, some as big as your head. Just give them a twist, a flick of the wrist. That's what the showman said. There's more. I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts, diddly-dee. Everyone you throw will make me rich. Here stands me wife, the idol of me life, singing pick a pole upon a penny a pitch. Why do I know those words? Do you know those words?
Is this going somewhere, Gab, or have you suffered a head injury recently?
No. I'm asking if I know that song, if I know the words, because we learned it.
No. I have no memory. Although I'm not a reliable source, but no, I have no memory of this.
You're not a reliable source, but it just feels like song lyrics will bring you back. You know what I mean? Like, you'll be sitting in the car and you're like, I'm singing along, but I don't know this song, but it's just coming out of me.
Okay.
I don't know if I learned that in school. The only other way I would have learned it would have been with you two idiots. You and your brother.
The two lovely bunch of coconuts. What does this have to do with the taglines for Little Big League, Gab? Please tell me that you're going to land this
plane. Let me connect the dots. I'm going to connect the dots. So I had an image in my head of the tagline writer being in his pajamas in a bathrobe with his legs up on the table and his balls hanging out. And that reminded me of the story your mom used to tell about when she walked in on Uncle Peter in a bathrobe and saw his balls hanging out. And that made me think of our childhood, which then made me think of, how do I know the words to I've Got a Lovely Bunch of Coconuts?
But nothing to do with Little Big League. Although, to clarify in that story, he did leave a ball stain on a piece of furniture.
I'm remembering that correctly, right?
Yes, that is correct.
That is, and not his furniture, by the way.
No, my mom and dad's furniture. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so yeah. All right. So tagline. Yeah. I don't know. What do we do now?
All right. Well, let's see if tagline guy can round it home because there's one more.
Oh, okay.
Major League is about to experience a minor problem. ... He's 12 years old.
There's a better way to do that. See where it's going.
I like a minor problem because he's a kid. I feel like it should be Major League is about to experience a minor problem. ... And his name is Billie.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Money, please.
That'll be $350,000.
I like this guy's getting more expensive with each tagline that you give to him.
Yeah, the taglines get better and better, you know?
That's true. All right, Gab. Now, if you want to, we can either go more spoilery into the movie or we can just get straight into our opinions.
Let's give a general understanding. It's not complicated.
Okay. We spend our first 15 minutes with Billie sort of seeing what his life is like. We meet his grandpa, who's like the nicest dude in the world. They really did a good job of like, yeah, this guy's probably a billionaire, but I like him. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, if I watch this, I feel like there wouldn't be a way for me to see this movie without being like, screw this Nepo baby and screw the Twins owner. Burn the capitalist pigs down. Like,
yes, agreed.
More like that. But Billie is great. His grandpa is great. And it's very sad when you find out his grandpa passes. He sees the videotape his grandpa's left saying, I wanted you to hear it from me. Nobody knows more about baseball than you, so I'm leaving you the Twins.
That made me emotional.
It's very sweet. And he's told you'll have everyone around you to help you with the day-to-day, but the team is yours, you know? Which I think that Billie would grow into being a great owner because he is very like, well, that's getting into opinions. I was going to say he's very Moneyball-esque. He is. He's like super, he knows his shit. But he gets to the team and nobody respects him because he's a 12-year-old owning the team. And the current coach, the current manager of the team, O'Farrell, is just there to basically scream at people because his grandpa thought like, well, at least maybe he's going to jumpstart them. And instead he's just depressing everybody and making things worse. So Billie decides to fire O'Farrell, make himself the manager because he knows all the scenarios. He knows what to do. He knows the sport. And we basically set out on this journey of seeing Billie sort of convince the team to like, give me a chance. If you're having fun and we're winning games, I'll keep managing. If we aren't, I'll fire myself. And of course, you know, people start to come around. They start to win games. They start to go from like last place to having a shot at the playoffs, which comes down to a very climactic one game playoff between the Twins and the Seattle Mariners, who the 90s Seattle Mariners had some real good players. And we get to experience things with a couple of them, which I'm sure we'll mention a couple of them in our opinion time. But, you know, should I super spoil the ending?
Yeah.
Okay. Go find it somewhere. You can rent it on Amazon. You know, it's not unfortunately streaming in a lot of places. It should be because it's a damn good movie. Obviously, that's my opinion because I nominated. But it ends at a point where we see that they have a chance to win the game at the very last moment, and Ken Griffey Jr. robs what would be the game-winning home run, and the Mariners win. And the Mariners are the team that are going to keep going forward in the playoffs. The Twins put together a hell of a season, but they do not win. And Billie ends up getting a curtain call from the entire stadium where he goes back to the locker room. They call him out so that he can, you know, throw up his hat and show them like he did it. You know what I mean? He goes through a lot of ups and downs where he gets tired of being an adult and having to do this job. And he sort of lets things go to his head a little bit. You know, we'll probably mention that too. But he gets to experience a full season of baseball and he gets to do a pretty damn good job of it.
Yeah. I think that was a beautiful synopsis.
Really?
You didn't say ragtag, but it was good otherwise.
I didn't even mention that it was bequeathed to him.
Yeah, God damn it, Dylan. Okay, so I think people probably have a good understanding, so I'm comfortable moving in if you are.
Opinion time it is.
In this critic's opinion,
you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion.
That was the most Yoda way of saying that possible.
Yeah. Dylan, you chose this movie, so why don't you start with some opinions?
Yeah, I will say the moment I started watching this movie, like a couple of characters just came into my mind that it was, oh my God, I remember them like putting a glove on. Bowers is like the first guy that I instantly remembered because Bowers is just great. He's just like the fun guy on the team.
Who does, we'll talk about this later. Sorry.
Yes. McGreevy, because I remember that he's just a dick. And then I was like, oh my God, not only is he a dick, he's the Gilmore Girls guy. Look at that. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know the Gilmore Girls.
You know him from other things, probably. He's, well, I'll get to that later. But, and the last guy is Lou Collins, who is quite frankly, if I were building a fictional baseball team right now, I'm putting Lou Collins on my goddamn team for leadership alone. The guy is glue. He holds that team together. He is a leader. He gets benched. He doesn't even care. He says, I'll take it in stride. He gets told by his manager, well, it's an unusual scenario where he's dating his manager's mother and team owner's mother and wants to marry her. But the mother's like, ask Billie, which also feels weird, but I guess I kind of get it. But he handles everything in stride, even when Billie says, hit a home run and I'll let you marry my mom. He, of course, takes it back immediately after. But Lou handles everything in stride. Lou is a consummate baseball professional, damn it. I did not remember guys as well like Blackout, but this movie is just filled with like fun characters and all of these montages that have. We've watched a few baseball movies. I think this is the most authentic baseball action because it is just people who are really good at baseball who can also act, I feel like, a lot of the time.
Yeah. And not to mention, we have a couple of cameos in this film.
Yeah. Do you want to name some of the baseball player cameos? Because I'll say all of them when we get to the facts, but there's a couple big ones.
The two that struck out to me the most, no pun intended, I guess pun intended, are Ken Griffey Jr.
Yes, which Ken Griffey Jr. doesn't just get a cameo. He gets to be kind of an epic villain. Like Ken Griffey Jr., I remember it to this day because there's this music sting when Ken Griffey Jr. is coming to the plate. Like he is this force of nature. Like they are like, when it happens in the movie, they have started Wedman, who Billie's friend has the entire movie been like, you know what you should do? You should start Wedman. He finally starts Wedman, and this guy who you never see throughout the movie, like Wedman, he's like, they just mentioned, they're like, he's through 5 2/3 shutout innings, which I'm like, wow, good for you, Wedman, who apparently can't be that good that Billie like refuses to acknowledge him. But when he finally starts him, he's having a quality start. Ken Griffey Jr. comes up and on the first pitch takes him deep and puts the Mariners in the lead. And you're just like, oh, because that's what Ken Griffey Jr. does. He just rounds the bases and he's just winking at the team and he is just unstoppable.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the other guy who shows up is Randy Johnson.
6'10", the big unit, the man who threw a baseball so hard that it destroyed a bird in its path, Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson. Now, I admittedly often confuse, and I've gotten better about this, and I'll explain in a moment, but I often confuse Randy Johnson and Roger Clemens. When Randy Johnson came out, because they both played for the Yankees at the same time, correct?
No, I don't think so.
Yes.
I do not think that there was overlap. I will look into this, but keep talking.
Okay. Well, I remember Roger Clemens as the guy who threw a bat at Mike Piazza. Correct. Now, Cody Clemens, his son, plays for the Phillies. And Corey and I went to Citi Field when the Mets were playing at the Phillies, and we got to watch on the big screen at Citi Field, and Cody Clemens was up, and this guy in front of us looks at the giant screen and goes, "Your father's a rat." And we think that is the funniest thing that's ever happened. So every time we see Cody Clemens, we're like, "Your father's a rat." But his father is a rat. But because their names are similar-ish, sometimes I'm like, wait, is that the guy I hate? But because Roger Clemens, I have no hatred in my heart for him. He was a very talented baseball player, but he's so big and scary looking that I'm like, surely that's the rat, right? That's the
Randy
guy
Johnson,
I hate.
you mean? You just did it now.
Oh, damn it. Yes, Randy Johnson, wonderful baseball player, very tall, very scary looking, never did anything bad to any of my team. mates.
The only
members.
bad thing he ever did was he murdered a bird real hard. He did not do it on purpose,
He
but
didn't do it on purpose.
if you look at that video of Randy Johnson and the bird, that poor bird
It
never had a
evaporates.
chance. Never had a chance. You just see feathers.
It explodes.
It looks like Looney Tunes.
You have to link this video in the show notes.
I'll put it in the description.
It's fucking
by the way,
crazy.
Both on the Yankees. Clemens from 99 to 2003. Randy Johnson from 05 to 06. So not at the same time.
Okay, very close though.
Close.
But anyway,
close.
I have no ill will toward Randy Johnson. He is very talented. He's just so scary looking that I'm like, surely this is the guy. But Roger Clemens was on steroids. And Randy Johnson obviously was not on steroids. He's skinny.
Randy Johnson now, by the way, an avid photographer. Like he's been a photographer on the sideline for NFL games. He's done a bunch of nature photography. Apparently he's just super into it now, which like, good for you.
Yeah, that's great. He's not a villain, right?
I think he was just 6'10" and intimidating. I think he was just extremely intimidating. I don't think he ever did anything purposefully. They even talked about while filming, and like, I don't think I had written it down in the facts, but they would talk about he could not ease up, that he just like, he was actually there and they decided to let him pitch the actor who played Lou Collins to try and like do the shot at the end. And eventually, you know, I think he said it was like 15 to 20 attempted swings that he just was nowhere near close. And they kept being like, Randy, can you ease up a little bit? And he was like, Randy Johnson was trying to ease up. So he's only throwing 90 miles an hour now. And it's still like not a chance. You know what I mean? And every actor who is on the Twins in this, and every actor in the movie, basically, like they all got tested to see if they were good at baseball first. And he played high school, some college baseball, but it was just, this is a guy who was like the best pitcher in baseball at the time. Like when he was at his best, he was undeniably great. So I just find it funny that he was like, can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't. Even if I try to, I can't be bad enough for this guy to hit me.
I mean, it has to be that hard, right? Like, what's something that you do well? Could you do it poorly? Like, for example, it's very hard for people who can sing to like be slightly out of tune because you just can't.
Unfortunately, I am talentless and therefore do not have something I can think of. It's like fine. If I suddenly could not name the actors in most movies, I couldn't do it.
Yes, exactly. They're dropping a lot of names left and right where I was kind of like, oh, is this person going to come? Is this person going to show up? Like, oh my God. But I do think that they do a really good job with the fictional players.
Mm-hmm.
Like the baseball scenes are all really good. I think the one thing that I do really like about this movie that I miss about baseball currently is they talk a little bit about the DH in the American League and how in the National League your pitcher has to bat, right?
It's the American League. How hard can it be? They got the DH.
Yeah. And I was explaining to Corey, who really only got into baseball because of me after that rule changed. Now there's a universal DH. And I'm trying to explain to him how it was such a more strategic game because you either had to let your pitcher go out and bat and fucking keep your fingers crossed so you can keep him in, and hopefully it's not a major moment, or you got to put somebody in who can DH, but then you got to have a new pitcher. And how in the American League, it was even funnier when they played at the National League because then their pitchers who never take batting practice have to fucking bat. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny. And you see like CC Sabathia trying to swing a baseball bat is like nothing I've ever seen in my life. And I just feel like they totally removed the strategy from the game. And I hate the pitch clock. Like I don't know. I'm a purist. How do you feel about it?
I like the pitch clock. And maybe that's just because I used to work for Major League Baseball and I hated how long games would be. But when you make the DH in both leagues, you know what you take away from us? We'll never get Bartolo Colon hitting a home run ever again. Which again, Gab, I would have hated because I worked at Major League Baseball. But we all were so goddamn excited about it that we didn't care that it rained down so much work upon us that we were like, oh my God, he did it. My God, touch them all, Bart. Oh my God.
I remember jumping up and down in my living room with my dad. My dad is jumping up and down. We are jumping up and down, and I'm crying because I cannot believe it has finally happened. It was truly an amazing moment in my life.
It's literally one of my favorite moments in like baseball history, especially from when I worked there, because I worked there during some like iconic no-hitters, during Albert Pujols hitting home run number 600 and things like that. And you know what? Yeah. could not have cared less. To me, all of those things were like, great, more videos to cut and edit, la di da di da. Bartolo was everything stopped, and for a moment, we all just enjoyed it. We all just were like, wow, we came together.
It was amazing. But I do think the baseball in this movie is really good. I think the way they talk about baseball, if you are a fan of the sport, is really exciting. And this was such a cool time to watch it too, because baseball is picking back up and you're hearing things about spring training and you're hearing, strategy talk and lineup talk and whatever. And so it was really exciting. I do want to talk a little bit about the idea of a kid being responsible for a baseball team. And specifically, I want to talk about, do you think your parents would have allowed you to do something like this, considering the responsibility, the lack of school, the travel, the turnpike bitches?
Keep in mind, this really happens right at the end of the school year, so it's okay for him to start doing it during the off season. Well, during the school off season, I guess.
Yeah.
I imagine it would be a difficult conversation, but I think at the minimum, I would be able to say, well, I'll make Mac the manager once school starts up again, but I can manage for the summer break. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, I think in theory, my dad would have been hyped about it because he was a huge baseball fan.
Sure. But it did strike me as odd that the mother wasn't traveling with him, considering she was dating the first baseman.
She can't travel with him. Come on. Then you don't get those moments like him joining the players to throw water balloons down off the hotel. You don't get night nurses of New Jersey.
Yeah. What did I say? Turnpike bitches?
Oh my God, I didn't realize that's what you were quoting. I thought you were just talking about baseball players having second families or something, but okay.
Oh, no. I was talking about the night nurses of New Jersey. I did, and the other thing too is I think this movie probably came out, and you mentioned this earlier, right? Like this movie came out with a lot of big baseball movies, but there were a couple of other baseball movies where kids were like the Rookie of the Year, right? Isn't that the one where the kid breaks his arm and then becomes an amazing pitcher?
This is exactly what I was about to mention, because I was going to talk about the authenticity of each film, because yes, this comes out right around the same time as The Sandlot, which, it's not professional baseball. Yeah. Rookie of the Year, where you have a kid being the pitcher, and Angels in the Outfield, where obviously, you have literal angels helping the angels.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a feeling of authenticity that even though there's a 12-year-old managing the team, it's just players on the field, and it's just actual players, it feels like.
I really enjoyed the authenticity of the baseball, and I think it did a lot. Like, I loved the montages because there was so much baseball. There were some good montages in A League of Their Own, but this in particular felt like, oh, we're really seeing like quite a bit of baseball.
Yes.
So I really appreciated that.
I also appreciate that you sort of have very small arcs, because the movie's about Billie, but you have very small arcs for a lot of our players. Obviously, Lou gets the biggest. It's ironic because he doesn't have much of an arc, but he gets the most screen time. But then I think of guys like Blackout, who goes from being a total jerk to like learning to like, I guess you're not a rat boy. Mickey Scales is a guy I think of who like at first, Billie's the only one who believes in him, and he lets him play. And in the final game of the season, it's Mickey Scales who ties it back up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bowers, who we see go from just being a doofus to right before the last game when they're trying to help Billie with his homework, he's the only guy who can figure out the math problem.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is A times B over A plus B. And he also is the one to solve the man rides into town on Friday. 3 days later, he leaves town on Friday. How is this possible?
Yeah, which is such a stupid joke or stupid riddle.
I love that riddle.
Do you remember the quadratic equation?
A squared plus B squared equals... Oh, no. That's Pythagorean theorem. B equals the square root of blah, 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 blah.
No.
Are we going to wait for me to do...
No, I'm going to tell you. Shut up and I'll tell you. X is equal to negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC over 2A.
What the hell was that for?
I don't know. I wouldn't know if you had a gun to my family's head and said, you need to solve this equation. I'll give you a hint. You have to use the quadratic equation. I would be like, sorry, guys.
Also,
like,
did you
I know
look that
it.
up, or do you remember that?
Here's why I remember it. Second time I'm singing on this episode. X is equal to negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A.
Let me ask you a question. Do you remember the teacher's name who taught you that?
No, absolutely
Because I was going to say,
not.
what a teacher who was able to like Manchurian candidate that into your mind that you still remember that shit. Wow.
Yeah, no, I don't remember at all.
Very impressive. Very
That's
impressive.
a great question. Oh boy. All right. Well, I don't remember why we brought that up. Oh yeah, because he helped him with the math homework. Okay. So quick question. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this because I don't want to bore people to death. But like, did any of these players remind you of real players, current, past, or present?
Interesting question. Like, remind me of specific guys.
Yeah. So like, I'll give you a hint. What was his name? Bender?
Bowers.
Bowers, thank you. Bowers reminded me a lot of Jesse Winker.
Okay, go on.
I think that Lou reminded me a lot of Daniel Murphy.
Okay.
Without the homophobia.
I can see that, sure.
You know, but like kind of wholesome, like very kind, like good player.
Shows up and
utility
does his job
guy.
kind of guy.
Exactly. Yeah. A base hit kind of guy. Keep the line moving. I think that
Mickey Scales.
Scales. I keep wanting to be like Scabs. Scales. Reminded me a little bit of Francisco Lindor. Obviously not nearly as talented, but like
He reminds me more of Ahmed Rosario, where they're like, this guy can't
sure.
hit. He can't do it.
So sad. I really thought he was the one, you know?
We all did.
We really did. I thought he was the one, and then he couldn't do shit.
No.
And the big scary guy,
Blackout.
Ryan Stanek.
So you just kept equating them to mostly Mets.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Lou, the only guy he kind of makes me think of is like a Tino Martinez type player. Again, maybe that's because I grew up as a Yankee fan before I switched. But
yeah, but everybody loves him.
everybody likes Tino. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was even in
Tino's-
Practical Jokers.
Yeah, he's great. We like Tino. He's fine. All right.
Oh, I also wanted to bring up, so Billie's grandpa in one of the last scenes he's in the movie is convincing Billie's mother to let him take him to see Roger Clemens. The night before, he's like, I never got to see this great pitcher when I was young. You gotta let Billie see Roger Clemens. What if he misses it and he never gets the chance again? And she agrees that if he finishes his science project, he can go. And sadly, the next day, Billie's grandpa passes away. So I just got to think to myself, probably the worst day of his life, where not only did his grandpa pass away, but do you think he never got to see Roger Clemens?
Well, I mean, he got to see Roger Clemens from the dugout.
That's Randy Johnson.
Oh, damn it.
You're mixing them up again.
See? It's so genuine. I really don't mean to. Fuck. So they're talking about Clemens. Right. Because Corey said out loud, your father's a rat. Yeah. I hope that he didn't get to see Roger Clemens because I hope he didn't idolize a fucking roid raging piece of shit cocksucker who throws fucking baseball bats at people's heads because he doesn't like that they're good at fucking baseball.
Let me
What
ask you a
did you
question, Gab.
expect?
Because Piazza, who also may have been on steroids, but let me
No,
ask you a
he
question. Gab.
wasn't.
May have been. Let me ask you a
No,
question,
he
Gab.
wasn't.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that some of the accused steroid users should be in the Hall of Fame?
I don't really have a strong opinion on this.
You don't have a strong opinion on this. Everybody has a strong opinion on this.
I don't know. I kind of don't really have a strong opinion. Listen, I don't think it's fair if a lot of the guys truly weren't doing steroids. So I don't think that Roger Clemens should be in if other guys who, like Randy Johnson
Oh my
is
God.
truly that good and wasn't on steroids. So I don't think that if it is truly a level playing field, except for these bozos, that they should be included. Now, I don't know that I believe that like there were only like it was just Barry Bonds.
It wasn't like
and Mark
three
Maguire.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard to be like, well, I don't know. Now, I think also, I will say this. I do think there's a line between responsible steroid use and fucking roid monkey steroid use. Throwing a bat at somebody's head means you are a fucking crazy person who is juiced out of their minds.
There have been crazy people in baseball, not on steroids too. Kyle Farnsworth is a guy I think of who was just like, you're going to rush the mound? I'm going to rush the home. Like, I'm coming to you. Like, there were plenty of crazy people in baseball.
Sure.
I just feel like the sport was aware that it was happening. Like, you have the strike season. The year that this movie comes out is the strike of 1994. And you have the sport really is near death when it's brought back by Mark Maguire and Sammy Sosa.
Barry Bonds, no?
Barry Bonds is after. It's the chase for Roger Maris's home run record that is really the revitalization of the sport.
Yes.
And then you have the steroid era of those guys, Barry Bonds, Jason Giambi, all these guys who were just crushing homers and tinkers because they were maxed out. And you know what? They saved your sport. Put an asterisk if it makes you feel better, but they need to be in the Hall of Fame because, quite frankly, it seems ridiculous to not have the guy who hit the most home runs in the entirety of the sport not in the Hall of Fame. That's just
Who is that? Mark
Barry
Maguire?
Bonds.
Oh, Barry Bonds. Yeah. Yeah, okay, fine. I hear that argument. Now, here's another question. How about Pete Rose? May his soul rest in peace. What do you say? What do you say about someone who does?
Rest in peace. That was fine. I don't know.
Peace.
Quite frankly, I think now you can't. Because he has now passed away, I think it is too late to make nice. And like I think now would be an insult if they unban him and put him in the Hall of Fame now that he's dead. Like I think that'd be messed up, quite frankly.
Yeah, I agree with that. But do you think that they should have banned him at all?
Yes, I get why they banned him. Like I totally get that. But at a certain point, like 30 years in, yeah, get past it. If people can be paroled for murder sooner than you'll let this guy in the Hall of Fame, you know what? Maybe let it go, baseball. For the guy who has the most hits in your sport.
Give me one player who would never be in the Hall of Fame, never going to make it, like not even on the ballot, that you would, if you were king for a day, toss in, just like for shits and gigs.
In any sport or in baseball?
No, in baseball, you numbnuts.
Well, my first guy that I thought of was in football.
No, I don't care about football.
I like football. I don't think it's like he would have no chance ever. But again, growing up a Yankee fan, Bernie Williams to me was the man. Like,
yeah,
I think Bernie Williams was also as clutch as they come, like in the playoffs. So he's a guy I think of. I don't know. Do you have a good one that you're like David Wright, or are you thinking of David Wright?
Well, I'm thinking more along the lines of like somebody who maybe like
somebody who's not even good that you just love. Is that like what you're thinking of?
No. So let me tell you who I'm thinking. The first person that comes to my mind is Lenny Dykstra.
Okay.
Like just a fucking talk about someone who was throwing hands and being reckless and just being a fucking psycho, but also like, he like really thought like his legacy is crazy because growing up he was like, no, I'm the fucking shit, and like he just bulldozed his way into the fucking Major League Baseball and like was okay, but would also like beat the shit out of people, and I just feel like he deserves it.
You know who comes to my mind as a guy who I know was pretty dang good. I just always remember every time I saw him that I was like, oh my God, I know he's going to be really good tonight. But I don't think he was. Like, he's definitely not in the Hall of Fame. Al Leiter.
Oh, of course.
Like, Al Leiter, definitely not like a Hall of Fame player. But every time I ever remember watching him, I was like, oh my God, this guy's like on Maddox levels. Like, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah. I mean, he's a Mets legend,
Yes.
Yeah. I think that it's funny,
R.A.
right? Like,
Dickey.
don't say it.
Put
Meanwhile,
the
the fucking look at Steven Matz. Remember Steven Matz? That was short-lived.
Long Island's own.
Yeah, that was upsetting. His first at bat, he hit a home run. Wouldn't even touch a bat nowadays. All right. I don't know.
To go back to talking about the movie, because we were talking about the grandpa and Luke Collins. Can we talk about what is such a sweet line that I totally never remember in this movie? We very briefly have a scene with a funeral for the grandpa, and we have all the players show up because clearly he was very well liked as an owner. But they don't like really try and mince words that hard. When Lou just says, the world just lost a real good guy, I was like, that feels, again, strangely authentic, that it like pulled my heartstrings a little bit, that I was like, oh, that's so sad. And he just said something about like, he was my friend, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, another one. Isn't that wonderful? Your grandfather gave you the twins. Billy saying, I'd rather have my grandfather. I was like, oh,
Oh, yeah, that cut deep. That
yeah.
cut real deep. That was really sad. I did like also when he said, I'm dedicating this season to my grandpa or whatever. That was nice.
He had a good head on his shoulders, that kid.
Yeah, he did. Um, oh God, yeah, that was tough. That was tough. I know, listen, we'll talk about football because I know you like football better than baseball, but do you ever like imagine a world in which you could like be the accountant for the Patriots or some way that you could just like tertiarily work for this football team?
You are listing my broken dreams. Yes, Gab. Yes. I
Yeah.
actually, somebody I went to college with worked in like news and video for the Patriots. And I was like, wow, way to go. I was like, that's so cool. I remember she would just like post like after a Super Bowl win, it would just be like her interviewing one of the players. And I was like, motherfucker, you go. You go. Like,
Yeah.
live the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I follow this girl on Instagram who's like a sports dietitian from Australia. What are the chances, right? And she recently posted this thing
They
about
have
how
sports in
for
Australia.
I know, right? Who go figure. She posted this thing recently about how she lived in the US for a number of years because she was the sports dietitian for the New York Mets. And I was like, what? And I like it never occurred to me that they had like a dietitian that just came with them to feed them. And I was like, how do I get this job? Like, oh my God.
Don't you
And
kind
so,
of feel like, though, no easier sport to be the dietitian for than baseball? Like a sport where
oh yeah.
David Wells and Mo Vaughn can be stars. It's like, what should I eat today? Whatever you want. You're doing great.
Yeah, who cares? Be fat. It doesn't matter.
What'd you eat
Yeah.
yesterday? 3 rotisserie chickens. Do that. I don't care.
Yeah, perfect. But like the thought of being like, hey guys, what's up? You hungry? Like nobody's ever upset with the person that has food.
They're upset if you won't let them have the food.
Well, that's why I would be so good at my job. I'd be like, here, have whatever you want.
Just takes one guy needing to make weight that you tell him no, and he freaks out because he's roided up.
Yeah, it's true. That is true. Anyway, I'm trying to think if I have any other strong opinions. I think that the child actor did a wonderful job. I
Right?
think yes. I think the baseball players, the actors on the team were great. Their baseball was pretty good. I certainly thought to myself, it's unlikely that they were able to do a whole lot outside of just telling them to play baseball based on the time and the obvious, cuts and whatnot. So I felt like that was really good. I think the general consensus at my house was if this movie were 10 minutes longer, it would have been a real fucking bummer.
Interesting. So you feel it goes out right when it should?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I
You'll
think the
probably expand on
longest,
that.
yeah, the longest part of the movie were some of the montages that went for like full songs, like Center Field. Love that song, by the way. Put me in, coach.
During his stickball game where he gets his groove back.
Yeah, I'm ready to play today. So good. But I was like, I love this song, so I'm okay with this taking the whole song, but this doesn't have to happen.
Yeah, that's fair. There might be one montage too many, but I kind of like all of them, and it gets a good feel for the team as you see them like dancing in the dugout together, which I think I'd seen one of them say that wasn't like planned. They just would record us in the dugout sometimes because we were just having fun too.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really all I have to say about that.
Okay, a line that stands out to me as being very relevant today still. If you're rich, you don't have to be smart. That's the whole beauty of this country. And they're talking about it when they're saying that Billy shouldn't even go to school. He owns the twins.
Yeah.
But yeah, still very relevant.
I think it's time to get to the facts.
I know. I'm just looking through that. I'll cut this out, obviously, Cav. It'll be really funny now if I just don't cut this out.
Fuck it.
We do need to acknowledge the Batman conversation because this is a movie that I didn't even remember has a conversation about Batman going through a drive-through.
Yep. And Corey said to me, he looked me dead in the eye and said, all boys talk about Batman. And I was like, okay.
At a certain point. Also, Batman doesn't go through the drive-through because the Batmobile would not fit through a drive-through. That is my sole reason.
Not all drive-throughs have like a
A lot of them do, though, have that like
Yeah.
curb on the other side.
Yeah.
It can be tough. I think, is it worth scuffing up the Batmobile for that?
Probably not. Also, isn't that what he has Alfred for? Go get me Burger King.
Also, I'm sure, well, no, Batman can't like DoorDash.
Yeah, no.
He's at like Ace Chemicals and he's like, where's my Taco Bell? Okay, yeah, we're clearly descending into madness. You know what? Before we get to the facts, I'm going to ask you one question. If you could have any fictional baseball player on your baseball team, who are you picking?
Randy Johnson. No,
Do you want a second to think about it? Because two people come to my mind, and I can give you my two first.
yeah.
Luke Collins, who we've talked about, all-around good guy, glue for the team leader, and is just going to be dependable the whole goddamn time. And Benny the Jet Rodriguez. Benny the Jet Rodriguez, who I know could steal home if I need him to in a pinch.
That is funny. That is
Those
really
are my
funny.
those are my two fictional baseball guys who I'm like, yeah, they could be on my team for sure.
Okay, then I want Specs.
Specs?
From
the
the
Sandlot?
Sandlot. Yeah.
Bold choice. Okay.
Yeah. That's who I'm going with. Tom Hanks as my manager.
Is this early Tom Hanks when he's still very much an alcoholic, or later Tom Hanks when he's a little bit better about it?
No, alcoholic.
Do you want flirty with Gina Davis Tom Hanks or not flirty with Gina Davis Tom
No,
Hanks?
that was a mistake. Yeah.
I agree. Okay. I think now we can get to the facts, I guess.
Please.
Face the facts, ducks.
Facts have no place with an organized religion.
On the tomato meter, Little Big League has a 35% with an average rating of 5.4 out of 10, 7 fresh reviews, 13 rotten. Audience score 54%. IMDb, it has a 6.2. The movie had a budget of $20 million and it grossed $12.2 million. The critics' consensus, though not, this was one of the first times I've seen there is no critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes. So I was just about to read the Oh Brother, Where Art Thou critics' consensus again, and I was like, that's not right.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to skip straight to the reviews. Roger Ebert gave it 3.5 stars and said it's one of those rare baseball movies that has a real feel for the game instead of using it as a backdrop for bizarre characters. Lois Alter Mark, yes, this is the most authentically real baseball movie to have a little child as one of its stars. Lois Alter Mark from Entertainment Weekly, filled with baseball lore, trivia, and cameos by major league players, this fable covers its bases with sincerity and humor. Phil Villarreal from Arizona Daily Star, forgettable in every way. The Kids in Big Leagues theme is thankfully dead for now. And this is why I feel like it would have the hard time of coming last after Angels in the Outfield and Rookie of the Year and all that stuff.
Wow.
Gary Walcott from the Tri-City Herald, although funny in some spots, Little Big League slogs to a halt. This is a safe film for children and families. Its limitations come in redundancy and its oppressive length.
Interesting. Okay.
I think the word oppressive is a little strong, Gary.
That is strong. I would agree with that.
Couple of Letterboxd reviews. Noah Geitel. This is going to sound weird, but I think this is the most realistic baseball movie ever made. Brennan. I struggle to think of a more realistic one off the top of my head, which sounds ridiculous again, but I get it.
Yeah.
Brennan, fun fact, Ashley Crowe, who plays Billie's mother in the movie, is the mother of Pete Crow Armstrong, was the top prospect in all of baseball, and is now playing for the Chicago Cubs.
Crazy.
Scott Southard, Night Nurses from Jersey is still my internal default image of softcore porn. Darren, last one, moral of the story, nepotism can sometimes lead to hilarious consequences.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm much more okay with Billy Haywood, the Nepo baby, than Hank and Hal Steinbrenner. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. How do you feel about the Yankees getting rid of the facial hair thing?
I feel like you stuck with it for so long that it should just kind of be your thing, but whatever. I don't care enough.
Now, here's something that struck me about this movie. On some of the jerseys, they had their last names. Some of them they did not. Mm-hmm. And I thought no names was only a Yankees thing.
No, that's not only a Yankees thing. It's like, I think it's most famously a Yankees thing.
Mm.
But even the Yankees have some jerseys that do have the names on them.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't.
Maybe I just remember this because it was specifically while I worked at Major League Baseball. The Yankees uniforms had names on the back of them during the MLB's Players Weekend.
Yeah, during fucking Players Weekend. Right. That's like the whole thing. That's like a Steinbrenner classic. Don't have a fucking mustache and your name is not going on the back of the jersey. And don't be gay.
Is that really part of it? Was that a Daniel Murphy rule?
Yeah, that was his contribution.
Daniel Murphy slid that last one in there.
Yeah.
Okay, where was I? Directed. The movie was directed by Andrew Scheinman, who only directed this movie, but also produced The Princess Bride, 57 episodes of Seinfeld, North, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, and A Few Good Men.
Okay.
So I think it's weird that this is the only thing he ever directed, but okay, kudos.
He did. Yeah.
The screenplay was written originally by Gregory K. Pincus, and Andrew Scheinman also wrote on the screenplay. They also wrote Mickey Blue Eyes, Quince, Chill Out Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
The movie stars Luke Edwards as Billy Haywood, who you might know from Jeepers Creepers 2, Newsies, and The Wizard. Timothy Busfield as Luke Collins, who you might know from The West Wing, Field of Dreams, and Revenge of the Nerds. John Ashton as Mac McNally, who you might know from Beverly Hills Cop and Midnight Run. Kevin Dunn as Arthur Goslin, the general manager, you might know from Veep or Transformers. Scott Patterson as Mike McGreevy, who you might know from Saw 4 through 6 and Gilmore Girls. Jonathan Silverman as Bowers, you might know from Weekend at Bernie's and that SVU episode where he's a stand-up comic making rape jokes, and it's very not subtly about cancel culture. The movie also features Jeff Garlin, Dennis Farina, Ken Griffey Jr., Lou Benella, Ivan Pudge Rodriguez, Sandy Alomar Jr., Randy Johnson, Chris Berman, and Paul O'Neill.
Wow.
There's more baseball players. There's a total of 15 MLB players, but I named what I think are the most famous ones. Also, steroid user Rafael Palmeiro is in the movie as well.
Interesting.
Scott Patterson, who plays Mike McGreevy, was the 12th overall pick by the Braves in the 1980 draft, spent 7 years in the minors with the Braves and Yankees, and he was also in Seinfeld. He was sponge-worthy only once, but not multiple sponge-worthy, and he said his blood tests were immaculate.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. He convinces Elaine to use a sponge.
Wow.
Kevin Elster plays shortstop Pat Corning. He won a ring with the 1986 Mets and was cut by the Mets right before the casting of the movie and went on to go back to playing in the major leagues after the movie. He was dealing with a shoulder injury at the time and couldn't pull off many long throws.
Wow.
Mickey Scales actor Antonio Lewis Todd played baseball in college and happened to be driving by the athletic tryouts for the film. He found out it was a baseball movie, went home to get his uniform, and came back for auditions. He hit his first 3 pitches over the wall, and he currently works as a stuntman. He worked on both Black Panther movies and Black Adam. He also works for Topps Baseball Cards and does player interviews sometimes.
That is so nice.
Yeah, and apparently he's just a nice guy who knows everyone.
Wow.
The original script had the Kansas City Royals as the baseball team before being rewritten and changed to the Twins because it would be much easier to shoot in the Metrodome.
Also, boo.
So the movie ends with the 1-game playoff between the Twins and Mariners, which lasts 12 innings. In 2009, during the last season of the Twins at the Metrodome, the Twins actually played a 1-game playoff, which would last 12 innings. Interestingly, it was also a season during which the Twins' owner died and left the team to family members.
Well, coincidence? I think not.
I think not! Gab, that's all the fun facts I got for you.
Well, then you better hit me with some verdicts.
All right, Gab, but before I hit you with some verdicts, I'm going to have to hit you with some mail.
Mail time! When you control the mail, you control information.
Mom asked me to ask you if there's any mail for us here by mistake.
What?
First, we have a comment on Oh Brother Where Art Thou from Scotty Cameron. Okay, so Scotty was talking about, I think he's talking about his federal job here, and I at least say you just put it in the right file part. Most of the stuff we file is based on numbering, which wouldn't be alphabetized. Oh, you put it in the right file was what he was talking about from Vampire's Kiss. Okay. Dylan would know since he used to work in the Treasury Department. Yes, the IRS is part of the Treasury Department, as is the FTC. I don't know if I'd really blame Gab for thinking the Hulk is red when Corey made the decision to show her Captain America Brave New World without watching the Incredible Hulk beforehand. That's like showing someone Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, without seeing the first 5 Star Trek films, and expect that person to instinctively know what is going on. I accidentally skipped to the next line. Instinctively know the Hulk. I was like, the Hulk's in Star Trek. I understand that there's some cultural osmosis to the character of the Hulk, but that can only go so far. Corey is definitely the nerdier partner in the relationship than Gab is. In all fairness, I didn't realize just how many times the original Star Wars movies were ruined by special editions until high school. I don't know how we got to that separate thought. It's got to be something we said in the past. Scotty is always like, what?
I was just gonna say, I think we were talking about like those added lines and like the things they change, like Han Solo not shooting first in the new one, you know?
McClunky. Yeah, like
Yeah,
you've
hate
heard
it.
about that? Greedo saying McClunky? Maybe we might have already had this conversation, didn't we?
Yes,
Okay. I'm
yes,
gonna
we
skip
did.
it then. Han shot first, folks. Okay. We're right there with Scotty.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not comparable, but it's the closest comparison. There's a Bart Simpson meme gif just around the corner. Then we have an email from our Canadian correspondent, Kyle.
Hello, Kyle.
Hello, Gavin Dillon. I hope you both are doing well. I had a very stressful week. Yeah, he had no power for like 4 days.
Oh, why? Because
It's
of
rough
Canada?
ooch there. I mean, I assume it was weather related or something.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
And he still got his podcast up on time, which quite frankly amazes me because we were an hour
Yeah.
late on most of our things last week just because I didn't realize.
Yeah, I mean, shit happens, right?
Yeah. I don't really want to get into it, but it made me wonder with the concept for this podcast. I want to know, is there a movie that got reviewed horribly, but you didn't seem to have the same problems others had? So a movie that was reviewed terribly that you liked more than other people.
I mean, I feel like almost every movie I've brought to this podcast,
I was going
right?
to say, I feel like the first thing that came to my mind was Recess School's Out, motherfucker. Like,
Yeah, fuck that movie. Georgia Rule, I love. Don't hit me with
don't
fish.
hit me with fish.
I love The Cat in the Hat.
Boo.
I mean, what do you want from me?
I go back and listen to my rhyme on my feelings for the Cat in the Hat.
That was so good.
And that's all the mail we have, but I figure now's a good time to read. We actually have some reviews on Apple Podcasts.
Oh my God, I'm so nervous. Okay, fuck.
These reviews, by the way, are also for the past, no, they're all 2025 to be fair. So from the past 4 months.
Oh God.
So one person, Ray1078, just wrote, you should do the movie the ... It's a good move. And they gave us 5 stars. Do I know what it means? No.
That's nice though. Thank you, sir or madam.
Well, let me take you down off your pedestal now because upside down exclamation point, 8 pi yay exclamation point said boo 1 star. Can't remember what I was going to originally berate the female co-host. Oh, can't remember what I was originally berating for. Female co-host drones on for so long. Sometimes it literally makes you forget your original positional position. Just poorly written. Needs sticky notes at the very least. What does that mean, Gab? How would we put sticky notes in this podcast?
I'm unclear. And quite frankly, your lack of cohesive thought leads me to believe that maybe you aren't the best judge of that.
My positional position is I give your review 1 star.
Yeah, honestly.
And then somebody named The Yoppiest said, good, 5 stars. As a fellow yoppy dude, I was thrilled to stumble across Movies to Watch Before You Die, and it's quickly become one of my favorite podcasts. Dylan and Gab have an incredible chemistry that makes every episode both entertaining and insightful. They bring so much passion and thoughtfulness to their discussions. None of this is true. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's clear they truly care about introducing their listeners to amazing films that may have flown under the radar. Thanks to them, I've discovered a whole new range of movies I likely never would have come across on my own. Whether you're a movie buff or just someone looking to expand their cinematic horizons, this podcast is a must-listen. Highly recommend.
Very nice. Thank you,
I'm
Yoppy
gonna
dude.
print that out and hang it on my fucking wall.
Yeah. Also, I don't think it's fair that that person didn't berate you for droning on.
Gab, because I'm perfect and everything I say is perfect. No, I'm
also, at this point, Kyle should be getting negative reviews as well.
Whoa, because he's been on so many episodes? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kyle's coming back in like 2 episodes or something. What was I going to say? I'm also going to print out that review to keep me humble.
Yeah, to keep you humble.
To keep Gab humble, I'll just hold up a plaque that says positional position is wrong.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
That was it, though. Those were the 3 reviews I found.
Well, then I say we get back to the verdicts.
Let's do it.
Do or do not. There is no try.
The guilty will be punished.
Sentence is death.
I think because it is such an authentic baseball movie, while also being, this gripped me as a child seeing it at 10 years old. This gripped me watching it when I was 30 years old. And I think that if it could do that, it's got to be a movie to watch before you die. It's one of those movies too that gives me that feeling of why like baseball is considered to be America's pastime, because you just really enjoy watching the baseball. It made me want to go to a baseball game. It made me say, like, this season I got to go to more baseball games. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Oh no.
So, Dill. Listen,
It reminded you of so many Mets you like. Go on.
it did. It did. Here's the thing. We started watching this movie and I was like, okay, I'm in. Like the beginning is it hooks you, right? It's like, okay, the grandpa is cool. The kid knows a lot about baseball. He's not good at baseball. So there's like, oh, so he just knows a lot. Like it's very interesting, right? And we're watching it, and we're watching it, we're watching it, and there's a lot of baseball happening, a lot of baseball happening. And I really just the whole time kept thinking to myself, how can you not be romantic about baseball? Like, how can you not fucking love baseball? I don't understand when there are people out there that are like, baseball is boring. I don't watch it. Have I ever told you about the time I got into an argument at my friend Nikki and Greg's wedding? Because Greg's cousin was like, I love the Yankees. And I had the bartender put the Mets game on so that I could watch it. And he started arguing with me about the Yankees. And he's like, I love the Yankees. And I was like, I don't care. I like the Mets. And he was like, I watch it at home. And then like slowly it came out that he only watches them bat. He doesn't watch like the like defense.
What?
And I was like, you're a fucking loser. Like, you are the scum of the earth, and you're a perfect example of a fucking Yankees fan walking around telling me, oh, we have this many rings, and you fucking don't even watch half of the game because you don't get the game. Anyway, I don't understand how people can't be passionate about baseball. And so watching this movie, I was like, this is the fucking best sport. I love baseball. I'm so excited for this season to start. I fucking love the New York Mets. I love the game. I love the way that the players love the game. And this is far and away a movie to watch before you die. It was so good. It was so cute. I loved it. I couldn't keep playing the I didn't like it card. It was just I had nothing else to say.
I was gonna say you weren't saying anything negative about the movie.
I know. I just went, oh, no, it was really, really good. I think it was very captivating. It was a great baseball movie. I would say it's probably the best baseball movie that we've watched on this podcast. A League of Their Own, good. Doesn't quite have this. Not because it's women, just like it's a different situation.
I think that's really cool for me also because this is the first time you saw it.
Yeah. I had never seen it, never heard about it. Loved it. And yeah, it made me want to go to more baseball games too. And it made me think, God, we gotta go to Citi Field with Dylan.
We gotta go to a Mets game together this year. At least one, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least 3.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
You swear.
Loved it. So yeah. Loved the movie. Put it on the list. Let's go Mets. And Randy Johnson. Nope, sorry. Roger Clemens. Cody Clemens. Your father's a rat.
I don't know what happened to you just there.
Me neither.
All right. Let's say the things we say to end this. We are a member of the Hall Pods Podcasting Network. If you look in the link tree below in the description, you can find their link tree for the Hall Pods. I botched that real bad. You can send us an email at moviestowatchbeforeyouDie@gmail.com. I don't think you can send us a voice note anymore at anchor.fm/movies-to-watch. I think we've been saying that for a long time and it's no longer a feasible thing. But you can send us a voice note at moviestowatchbeforeyouDie@gmail.com. Send us an email. So just say whatever you want. I don't care. We have merch. I don't know why, but for some reason we do. If you want, also in the link tree below and in our description. Yeah. And you can watch that video of Randy Johnson destroying a bird in the description below for this episode only.
But not Roger Clemens.
Roger Clemens would have done it on purpose. Randy Johnson did it on accident.
Yes. That's how I'll remember them.
There you go.
Kids today are amazing. I played winter ball down in Venezuela. They had kids half his age. Every one of them speaking Spanish. That's a hard language.
They speak Spanish in Venezuela.
I know, that's my point.
Does anyone else find it disconcerting that our new manager can't get into an R-rated movie for another 6 years?